His MVP. Golf swung, right field. Forget about it. Rangers strike first. Goes after the first one. Drills a high fly ball. Left center field. This game is tied. From Javier. Seager hits a high fly ball. Deep right field. A bomb into first. On swing. Drive. It's tied. Seager smashes the ball. Down the line. Goodbye. Now Seager to right center field. Way back there. Gone again. Corey Seager does it again. It's Texas Rangers win the World Series. The Willie Mays Most Valuable Player Trophy presented by Chevrolet. Is there any doubt? Corey Seager.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you in the 8th inning of an 8-3 ball game. Bad guys on top, unfortunately. We're going to finish it out. Bottom 8. Pirates have a runner on first base, Andrew McCutchen. Brian Reynolds up to bat right now. We'll see if the Rangers can build a little positive momentum going into their series with Baltimore tomorrow. Has not been a great day for Texas, really on both sides of the ball. Started off promising, kind of how it always goes. Rangers jumped out to an early 2-0 lead. Pirates scored 7 unanswered runs after that. Rangers tacked on a run in the 6th to make it 7-3. And then after that, the next inning in the 7th frame, Pirates extended it back out to 8-3, and that is where we stand right now. Welcome in, by the way. Hope you're having a nice Sunday. We are going to give you, again, the live commentary play-by-play and then do a little post-game analysis. I just keep telling myself, at least we won the series. At least we won the series. But, man, it feels like you should have swept the Pirates, I got to say. I got to be real about that. But I'll go glass half full like I always do. At least you won the series. And a road series at that. A place where the Rangers have not been incredible over the course of the entire season. Although, of late, Rangers have won their last 3 road series. Not bad. Here, Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, and especially the Rangers during the MLB season. Thank you so much for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Texas Rangers content. Drop a comment, drop a question. We will get to it as the show goes on. And look, you know the drill. During the game might be a little slow on the comments, so forgive me for that. We're never trying to duck anything or anybody. We definitely had to filter out some trolls, filter out things that are not of substance. But if you got something quality to say, we definitely want to address it. If you got to copy and paste again, if I don't see it the first time, please feel free. I'd welcome it. Want to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. Right now, we are in a 3-2 count to Brian Reynolds here. Bosley's still on the bump. He's at 66 pitches right now, is Bosley. The plan really early on, I mean, as Bosley walks Reynolds here to make it runners on first and second, it was clear pretty early on the Rangers really did not have a big-time safety net for this game. I mean, their plan was, we hope that Jack can go 6 or 7, and if it doesn't, we're willing to just punt the game. Like, I'm sorry. There's no other way to explain leaving Bosley in as long as you did. Bosley's given up 9 hits today. He settled a little bit down the stretch, but he's given up 9 hits and 5 earned runs today. Right? You know, it's just so clear they did not have a plan B for Jack Leiter not going 6 innings. I think had Jack been able to make it 6, they probably would have been able to then go to somewhat of a normal bullpen lineup. But I think once Jack went 4 innings, I just got to call it like it is. It seemed pretty obvious they were willing to punt the game. You know, they did not want to bring in anybody behind Bosley. And look, maybe you are thinking we won the series already. We've got 3 more games coming up before an off day. We don't want to overtax the bullpen here. And I'm not saying I totally disagree with the strategy, But as a fan, you just hate to see it, right? You hate to see a team basically punting the game. And that is what I think obviously happened here. I'm not saying that the players in the box quit, but I'm just saying from a coaching perspective, you basically said, we're not throwing our competitive arms today. We're not going to try and keep this lead at 2 or 3 runs. Bosley's going 3-4 innings, and whatever happens, happens. That's the exact situation here. As Bosley gives up a base knock, Pirates are going station to station, so we got the bases loaded. Look, I mean, there's only 3 outs left for Texas. At this point, you might as well have Bosley finish out the game. But for me, it just sucks that you decided that in the 5th inning. In the 5th inning, you decided it's Bosley or bust. I just don't love that as a fan. I might be removed from the game a little bit to better understand it and better empathize with the Rangers coaching staff and what they decided to do today as Mike Maddox goes out, puts the hand on Caleb Bosley's shoulder. Come on, dude. We got 2 more outs. Pull your pants up and let's get out of here, man. Let's go. What are we doing? I think Mike Maddox said something like that. But, they just didn't want to use bullpen arms today. It's unfortunate as a fan. Hopefully it pays off in the Baltimore series. But really, I think Bosley probably going to be the focus. The offense was not great today either. You got out to an early start, and just in typical Rangers fashion, right? You end up going pretty lifeless the rest of the game. You scored 1 run in between the 3rd inning and the 8th inning. Bosley's going to get a double play right here. Whatever Maddox said must have worked. The encouraging speech on the mound about a minute ago must have really did the trick. Bosley gets the inning-ending double play, and the Rangers are down to their final 3 outs. Offense 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Juxtapose that, 2 for 12 runners in scoring position, with Pittsburgh going 7 for 14 with runners in scoring position today. 7 for 14 were the Pittsburgh Pirates when they had runners on second and or third base. Crazy. I can't remember the last time I've seen the Rangers hit 500 with that many opportunities. Like maybe they've gone, 3 for 6, 2 for 4, something with a small sample size, right? 7 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Look, a lot of that, not trying to trash the guy, but a lot of that is Caleb Bosley. They did have some hits against Jack Leiter, obviously, with runners in scoring position, but a lot of that's Bosley. Let me get to some comments here. Appreciate you guys. Jack, look, other than efficiency, Natalie, what's good, by the way? The comment was, other than efficiency, Jack was fine. I don't think we can downplay efficiency, though. Efficiency is a huge part of being a starting pitcher in the major league. So, I don't necessarily think we can say Jack was fine today. I don't think he was fine today. I think Jack is really struggling right now. The last couple of starts, he struggled. I know if you look at the box score, you might not think he had the most terrible day. You allowed 7 base runners in 4 innings. You allowed 3 earned runs in 4 innings. This was not a great day for Jack Leiter. I think we got to just call it on the carpet. And it could have been a lot worse. He navigated out of some tricky spots, but I can't really say a lot of positive things about Jack today, unfortunately. Only 2 strikeouts in 4 innings. There was a lot of contact today. And when you double it up with what he did last time out, I'm not saying your panic meter or your worry meter is through the roof, but I'm starting to get a little concerned. I'm really hopeful that he's able to bounce back and snap out of it, but I am a little concerned. You would think that Jack could dominate a team like Pittsburgh. I think that's what concerns you more than anything. Let's say he was coming out here against one of the top teams in baseball, the Dodgers, and doing this. You'd be able to say, okay, it's the Dodgers. You're doing this against one of the worst teams in baseball. And so that's why I say I don't think you can say at all that this was a positive or even a mediocre start from Jack Leiter. This is a team that Jack should dominate. And I think we just have to be real about that. You guys know I try to keep it positive, but I definitely don't want to be in the sugarcoating business. This wasn't a game where you give Jack a pat on the back and you say, you did great, buddy. This was not a great game for Jack against one of the worst teams in baseball. Josh Smith really looking frustrated, man. He immediately hit that ball and just did one of those exasperated look up to the sky instead of running down the base path. I don't love that body language. I know it's a tough game, and I know I'm being a little picky, but just giving you my reaction live here, I just don't love that, man. Hustle out the ball, stop pouting. It's not a great day for this offense. Josh Young, he has had a decent day today, 1 for 3. Josh made it 2-0 earlier with an RBI single. He did add a force out RBI. I think it was a fielder's choice RBI a little bit earlier on before we got on the show. 243, 669. I don't know. Not sure. I know Young, the box score looks good. I still can't say I feel super great about where Josh Young is at right now. I can't say I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. Glad he gets the party started at the beginning of the game. He has had a little bit of a rough stretch here. We went through the numbers yesterday. I absolutely think that there is a lot more left in the tank with Josh in terms of the potential, in terms of what he is capable of. But right now, and he's waving at a fastball on the outer half here, so 2-2 count. Josh really needs to step it up. You know, he's hitting 8th right now. This is a guy you'd love to have in the middle of your order, not necessarily, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, but you'd love to have Josh in the middle of the order. You'd love for Josh Young to be hitting higher than Jonah Heim right now. So I think with this game, it's a nice little positive building block for Josh, but got to see more consistency. And he's going to wave at strike 3, way above the zone. And the Rangers are now down to their final out. Ezekiel Duran will come up. 2-out rally, anybody? 2-out rally? Oh, B Daddy, what's good, man? Yeah, Bosley. Like I said, I got to give Bosley and the coaching staff equal blame here. It's just so obvious. The coaching staff's plan was, if Jack doesn't make it 6 innings, we're going Bosley as long as he can go, and we're not going to even touch any of our big arms. And so, yeah, it's Bosley, but it's also the coaching staff. They decided to punt this game. So I can't say I have any kind of, burning rage for Caleb. Caleb got hung out to dry today. I mean, that is what happened. He got hung out to dry today. They told him to take one for the team. And I think they basically said, hey, if we don't have a lead, we're not throwing any of the big arms today. So Caleb, figure it out. What big arms does this team have? Matthew, dude, I mean, look, we all have our bad days. I feel like I'm always catching you in a bad mood, buddy. I feel like I'm always catching you in a bad mood. What big arms does the team have? Well, I mean, I don't even understand that comment. What are you talking about? We've got multiple guys that have among the best ERA in the game in terms of relievers. Like, I mean, that's just kind of an asinine comment. What big arms do we have? Bro, like, I know it's a bad day today, but I can't even really understand that. What are you talking about? Hobie Milner's almost got a sub-2 ERA. Chris Martin's got a 1.48 ERA. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, what about the guys that I just said, though? Like, dude, come on now. I can't go with extremes here. I mean, and look, some of y'all might think I'm a hot take guy. Like, I'll own it. You think what you want to think. Don't come at me with we have no big arms. We've got a dude with a 2.10 ERA, high usage, and we've got Chris Martin with a 1.48 ERA. We've got good arms in the bullpen. It's ridiculous. Oh, don't backtrack, Matt. Don't backtrack, buddy. You just said we got no big arms. Now you're acknowledging we have 2. And I'd throw Sean Armstrong in the mix too, bud. I'd throw Sean Armstrong in the mix too. Sean Armstrong has one of the best batting averages against in the league. I mean, buddy, you're just wrong. I don't know how else to say it. You're wrong. We've got 3 guys that are elite bullpen arms in the game of baseball. Think whatever you want. You can keep saying no, come on, no, come on, but you've come at me with nothing. You've literally given me nothing. You have nothing to say about any of the stats. You have nothing to say about any of the points I just made. So keep on going. Seriously, bro. You got nothing. Argue with the wall, buddy. Seriously. Who cares? Dude, do you like the Astros? Are you an Astros fan or are you a Rangers fan? I don't care what the Astros are doing for their bullpen. Are you an Astros fan or a Rangers fan? Come on now. I'm sorry. Like, here's the reality. We won the series in Pittsburgh. I know it's a bad day today, and I'm sorry, by the way, for the people that had to watch this live. I'm really sorry for the people that had to watch this live. I know a couple of y'all were in Pittsburgh, but don't come at me with the stupid takes that this bullpen has no big arms. We watched the guy who is supposed to be our innings eater eat innings today. Caleb Bosley came in and fell on the sword. The dude got hung out to dry today. So because Caleb Bosley didn't have a good game, we have no big arms in the bullpen. Give me a break. Give me a break. Like every bullpen, we've got guys that don't perform. We've got guys that are shaky. We've got guys that have been locked down all season long. I'm just not even going to go there. Think whatever you want. Again, Hard Chuck, you put it best. Argue with the wall. I don't know what you think when you see a 2.10 ERA from Hobie Milner, a 1.48 ERA, a 150 batting average against Rashawn Armstrong. But yeah, we have no big arms. You sound like a genius, bro. Come on now. I'm sorry. We keep going. Just tuned in for the Josh Young hard truths. Like, I don't know, Mike. I don't know what to say about Josh. I just wish he was in a much better place, and I don't think him hitting 8th says a whole lot of positive about what's going on with him right now. I mean, Jonah Heim is hitting higher than Josh Young. That's bad. It's not good. It's not good. He does seem out of sync. In fact, I've got a video coming out a little bit later today on Josh, just kind of expressing my concern. I'll put it to you that way. So that'll be a little bit later on in the evening. That'll be out. Y'all can go back and forth with me on it if you want. Look, our pen, this is well said, Mike. I appreciate the backup here. Our pen needs help. We need another arm. I don't think anybody is arguing that we need another arm. We need to add to the bullpen and make it better. Nobody's arguing that. We're just arguing, at least I'm arguing, the bullpen is not crap. We don't have nobody out there in the bullpen. We've got a number of guys that multiple teams, plenty of teams would love to have. So I just don't understand the people that say the bullpen's terrible. Like my buddy Matt and I, we're going back and forth about. That's ridiculous. You're just not informed. We've got 3 guys that a lot of teams would love to have in a playoff race in October. Yeah, Garcia, Bosley. Garcia actually had a nice game the other day, but he's been a little shaky. I've definitely said that. You guys know how I feel about Jacob Webb. I'd love to have Craig Kimbrell up instead of Jacob Webb. And obviously, you got a couple of other guys mixed in there that have been kind of 50-50, right? I mean, Cole Winn has actually been really, really good. Cole Winn hasn't given up a run yet. I should have thrown in Cole Winn when Matt and I were going back and forth. Like Cole Winn, 0 ERA. That dude's trash, right? So now I've said 4 people in the bullpen that are actually really, really solid. But yeah, we've got no big arms. No big arms. We've got a bunch of dudes that are actually killing it by every metric and standard in baseball. But yeah, nobody in the bullpen's good. Bosley is the seller. Well, the team sold today. Like, can we just be upfront? The team sold today. Bochi and the staff said, if we get down and Jack Leiter doesn't go 6 innings for us, we're going Bosley, and we're not throwing anybody else. We're not throwing anyone else. So for me, I think you got to definitely look at the coaching staff as well. They sold this one. They could have gone to a number of different guys. You could have probably thrown Cole Winn today, for example. Speaking of Cole Winn, you could have thrown Cole Winn today. With a 2-run deficit, they didn't want to throw Cole Winn today. It is what it is. They wanted to just go with Bosley and save the arms for the series coming up with the Orioles. Yeah, Mike, this is a bad propensity, is it not? It's a very bad propensity. The comment is Webb's Achilles heel is the propensity to throw a fat meatball around 3 great pitches in an at-bat. And unfortunately, in the major leagues, that's one fat meatball too many. Jacob Webb, I don't think he's the worst in the world, but let me put it to you this way. I'd rather have Craig Kimbrell up throwing instead of Jacob Webb. Keep going. When do we start blaming Bruce? I think some people are there, right? I think some people are starting to blame Bruce Bochi a little bit. I think they're starting. I think they are 100% beginning to start thinking maybe it is the manager. And we've talked about this. We give a lot of credit to Bruce Bochi. He's a legend. Don't take any shine off Bruce. Guy's a legend. But I will say any other manager, and I've said this a lot, and I'm not going to go on to a big rant about it. It's the name, right? Any other name would probably been fired by now. I'm serious. I think if it was any other manager, you went to the World Series, you had a terrible 2024, and you have had a pretty rough start to 2025. Look, it could be worse, but you're 2 games under 500, 78 games in. It could be worse. But if it's any other manager, there's a lot of heat, possibly a firing. I think Bruce is definitely going to ride out the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to be getting rid of him at all. But I just think any other manager would be getting a ton more crap. And I think we all know that. We all know that. Keep going. Coop, it gets frustrating, I know, but the reality is we are going to have played 9 games in a row without an off day, right? The last off day was Monday, 6 days ago. You don't have another off day till Thursday. It's a lot of games in a row. It's a big stretch of games. Of course, you're trying to win every ball game. So maybe removed from the situation. I'll feel a little bit better about it later tonight or tomorrow, but I just don't love that you kind of punted this game. You kind of punted this game. You could have gone to other options. You could have gone to Cole Winn. You could have gone to Cole. They decided not to do that. They decided that they were going to stick with Bosley, and he was just going to eat innings today. And so I don't think that there was nobody available today. Nobody else could have pitched today. I think that's ridiculous. You could have had somebody else pitch today. But when you look back at the game, the offense didn't score. So in a way, I think you kind of say Bruce Bochi was right to do what he did. I don't love it in the moment when it's the 5th inning and Bosley's getting shelled. You're like, bro, we still got 4 or 5 innings left. Come on, man. But when the offense only scores 3 runs total, yeah. I mean, Bruce is actually looking kind of good right now that he didn't waste some of the better arms on a game where the offense stunk it up. I got to say, Haggerty, dude's got to be into the discussion for an everyday player at this point if he's not already. Haggerty, it's beginning of the order, top of the order, chaos energy. I love it. He's either working the count, quality at bat, taking a walk, getting on base, speed on the base paths. I really think they need to seriously consider moving Langford out of the 2-hole and letting Smith and Haggerty go back to back. I loved that. On Friday night, was it? I think it was Friday night. Smith and Haggerty, and maybe it was Saturday too. Smith and Haggerty back to back. I loved it. I think that is definitely an interesting combination. I mean, I love for it to be Wyatt. I just don't love some of the things that I'm seeing from Wyatt at this point. Langford, by the way, first and second, you just watched Haggerty take a 6 or 7 pitch walk. When was this? What inning was this? Maybe some of y'all can remember. Wyatt came up. You had Duran, I believe, and you had Haggerty sitting on first and second base. You just watched Haggerty take a walk, 7 pitches or so. And then Langford comes up swinging at the first dang pitch and pops it up, fouls out. Like, dude, if you're not going to bunt, you have got to have a better approach. You're hitting at the top of the order. We have got to have better approaches from some of these guys at the top. Like, it is so frustrating to me. We have got to be leading the league in the category of first and second, nobody out, and the runners just stay at first and second for the next 3 straight batters. I would love to see if they have that stat. I'll try and do some digging. I can't always find this stuff, but seriously, I feel like we lead the league in first and second, nobody out, and the runners literally no longer move after that point. That was a ridiculous at bat from Langford. First pitch, and you foul out after you just watched the guy in front of you work a walk on 7 pitches. I would really love to see Smith, Haggerty for the right-handed lineup, and I'd like to see Langford get moved down 5th or 6th. I think it's obvious right now. Pressing a little bit. I know he had a nice little 3-hit game the other night, so I know some people are going to point to that. I mean, Wyatt, the reality is, over his last 30 games, dude's hitting 225. I mean, this is not a guy in a groove. I know he's still figuring it out. I'm not saying bench him. I'm not saying send him down. Don't get it twisted. But is this a guy you really want continuing to hit second in the lineup? I mean, this is a guy that is striking out at a pretty high rate. Over his last 30 games, he struck out 40 times. That's not awesome. I mean, that's averaging over a strikeout a game. You want a guy that puts the ball in play. Right now, I think Wyatt has every capability of being a 2-hole hitter and a really, really good one. I just wonder, again, how much longer do you just ride it out with these guys? I'm starting to go hot hand. I don't know how much longer Bochi is going to continue on with some of these guys not producing. At what point do you go hot hand? I would really, really like to see Langford, Mike, just like what you said, go 5 or 6 hole for a little while. Just take some pressure off. What's crazy is some people think like these lineups are written in permanent marker and you can't ever change them. What's the big deal moving Wyatt down to 5 or 6 for a few games? I don't get the big hesitancy to mess with the order. Like, what you're doing right now clearly isn't clicking on a grand scale. You didn't score that many runs against Pittsburgh in this series. You scored 3 today. Yesterday, you scored 3. And then on the 20th, on Friday, you scored 6. I mean, you scored 12 runs in 3 games. You averaged 4 a game. Fair enough. It's not like they were killing it, tearing the cover off the ball against one of the worst teams in baseball. Frustrating, to say the least. Frustrating. Mike, he's actually come out and he said that CY's come out and said that he's not going to be buying if the club is not like almost firmly in a playoff spot. So I don't know. I think they might have to be better. At first, I would probably have agreed with you, but then when I heard a recent interview, it sounded like CY was going to avoid doing what he did last year. Maybe he's just saying that out loud, and then he's going to turn around. Look, 31-year-old journeyman Haggerty is who Ultramodern's referring to here. Look, I think it's ridiculous too, Ultramodern, 100%. But yeah, at this point, you got to play who's going to help you win games. That's just where I'm at. And Seager did not have a great AB there either, but you're always going to get more crap for being the guy that does nothing with no outs, with an opportunity to move a guy over to third base. I don't know. Like, Seager obviously striking out there isn't great, but the focus is always going to be on the guy that couldn't move the runners over with no outs. A lot of ways that you can get that runner over to third base, ground ball right side. That's the other thing. With how fast this guy is, I just don't get, like, dude, try and hit the ball on the ground sometimes. Use your speed. I don't know if anybody else has felt this way about Wyatt before, too. I'm like, I get it. You've got power. You can rake. Dude's got, I think, still got the record for longest home run ever at the College World Series. I get it. You've got a lot of power. Like, can we simplify the approach in some places? Can we put the ball on the ground occasionally? and just see what happens. You never know. And naturally, that approach, you start seeing line drives. You do. You've been around the game long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You simplify the approach. You start just trying to do the little things. Put the ball on the ground first and second. Nobody out. Use your speed. Unless it is smoked right at somebody, Wyatt's beating it out. And then probably going to be able to steal second. So at this point, you just got to do the little simple things. And Wyatt, I think, is trying to do too much. I mean, that first pitch swing right after watching the Haggerty walk, this kind of tells you a lot where things are at right now with some of these guys. If Wyatt's going to 6th, Seager should be 7th. Not a Seager fan, huh? Ultramodern, not a Seager fan. Here's the thing about Seager that's different from everybody else, and I said this on the show yesterday. Like yesterday, Seager, every single ball he hits over 100 miles an hour. Today, obviously, he's striking out. I mean, let's not be a prisoner of the moment. Let's look at the bigger picture here. Seager is routinely hitting the ball hard. Does he strike out? Yes, he does strike out. I mean, every player does. Seager is up there in the top percentiles, hard hit, barrel, whatever else, hard hit rate, all those advanced stats, exit velocity. Seager is consistently, routinely hitting the ball hard, regardless of the production. I'm going to take a guy like that who's getting unlucky over a guy that looks lost up at the plate and has no approach. So that is my defense of Seager. Keep going. Yeah, I do think Ultramodern, you got a point, though, about Langford. Like, you probably asked Langford to do a little bit too much. Probably did. Hardshuck, what are you saying here? Crazy thing about Wyatt is he's probably still going to have a 2020 season. 100% he is. He might have a 25-25. I don't know if it's going to be 30 for 30 this year or 30-30, I should say. But I definitely think that he's got a shot at 25-25. You never know. Even with a lot of struggles. That's true. Very true. I'm sorry. Some of y'all went to this game and yeah, not the best game to go to in person. Scott, Jack Leiter, yeah, not looking great. If Wyatt needs a change of scenery, trade him to the Braves or my Braves. All right. So we got a Braves fan wanting Wyatt Langford. Yeah, Wyatt's not going anywhere. But he definitely is in a little bit of a funk right now. Keep going. Let's see. What else did I miss? Yeah, I do tend to go this way with the Rangers' development of talent. So you've got Texas with not an awesome track record of developing pitchers, even developing star hitters. I mean, Langford is probably the closest thing they have to a star hitter developed in the past 10 years? And I don't know. Depends on, I guess, what your floor and what your ceiling is for star hitters, but it's not great. It's not great. Smith and Haggerty are the only players with a batting average above 250 for Texas. Is that right? Oh, geez. I don't even want to confirm this. Haggerty's 280. Smith is 284. Wowza. Gio injecting the truth serum per usual. Bonds didn't hit ground balls, just saying. Yeah, Barry Bonds was not as fast as Wyatt Langford. Maybe in the Pittsburgh days. Yeah, not in the San Francisco days, but it's the different players, first of all. But I just think with where the Rangers are at right now, the problem is actually guys just trying to hit home runs way too much. That's kind of where we're at right now. Guys trying to do too much, not simplifying approaches. So I think over the course of 1 through 9, you're not going to have everybody trying to play small ball. Corey Seager's not going to play small ball, right? Corey Seager's going to go for the big hit. You've got guys that are always going to go for the big hit. And Wyatt Langford might be in that category. Maybe some of y'all would argue that. Wyatt is the kind of hitter that should always be going for the big hit. I think at this point, with where the offense is at and with the season that Wyatt's had so far, we could probably drop it down, take it down a notch. Sometimes it's okay to keep it simple. Move guys over. Use your speed to your advantage. Trying to pop the ball up, hit a home run every time, get the launch angle. I don't know. I would love to see Wyatt simplify things and just do the situational hitting right. And today, first and second, nobody out, the pop-up on first pitch, it's just not okay. And there's no other way to put it. It's not okay. You're the number 2 hitter on the team trying to rally. You've got guys in front of you with good approaches, and then you come up and do that. It's not great. Yeah, look, we've had this story before, though. The comment on YouTube is, well, Texas is developing a star in Walcott. Maybe. I would love for Sebastian Walcott to be the franchise player. I'm not trying to be negative when I say this, but are we sure Sebastian Walcott's going to be 30 home runs, 100 RBI guy? Like, didn't we have really high hopes for Jurickson Profar and Leody Taveras and Evan Carter? And Evan, I love Evan. I love Evan. But I'm just saying, with Walcott, I think you got to pump the brakes a little bit. There's no guarantee he's coming up dropping 35 bombs and 110 RBI. Like, there's no guarantee. So I think we got to wait on Walcott before we say, yeah, they're developing a star. Let's see how he does at the big league level. I think once you see consistent production out of him at the big league level, then you can absolutely say that. Absolutely, he helped us win a chip. If you're, in Evan Carter truther, I'm pretty much right there with you. But let's not pretend, Evan Carter is a star. Evan Carter's not a star. In that World Series, I think you could say he was definitely a big piece. I don't think Evan Carter is a superstar at this point. And even during that World Series run, I don't think he was at that level either. He was really, really good, was a big reason the Rangers were able to go on a run. But again, I think we're talking about more than just a flash in the pan here. We're talking about more than that. We're talking about a guy that perennially is an all-star, superstar talent, and the Rangers lack that. They don't have a lot of franchise guys that are perennial, superstar, talented players. I can't think of a whole lot. Definitely trending up hard, Chuck. I'm not at all saying that Evan Carter is not good. I don't like what I'm seeing from him, but we're talking about, stars. I don't think anybody right now would say Evan Carter is a star in this league. I think people would say Evan Carter looks promising. He's a promising young player. I don't think anybody's saying, except for the biggest Rangers homer, and I'm pretty high up there, but even I'm not going to say Evan Carter is a star in this league. It's a little over the top. I don't want to see Leiter for a while. I don't know if Leiter is going to do anything different in terms of where he's at with the team and in his role. I think Leiter is going to make the next start in 5 days or whatever. And I think that they're just going to continue to try and refine his game. That being said, when guys come back from injury, I do wonder, is Leiter's spot in question? When John Gray and Cody Bradford come back, are you going to see Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker potentially lose their places? If Jack doesn't figure it out and start showing the signs that he did earlier in the year, I think it's probably going to be in question. Not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but if you continue to get this from Jack, I do wonder what they're going to do getting Cody Bradford and John Gray back. We'll keep going. I really hope that the wrist isn't still bothering Young, Natalie. I really hope that that's not still an issue. I think that at this point, you've got to assume that they put the wrist issue to bed with Josh Young. I don't know what it is with him. And nobody's really commented on it big time either, right? Nobody's really commented big time on what's wrong with Josh Young. Why is he regressing to this point? We'll see. Mike says Carter needs a sustained run of health and reps against both right-handed pitchers and left-handed pitchers, I'm assuming, to get the chance to show he's a star. Absent that, he'll always be a guy with potential. Mike, you basically said exactly how I feel about Carter. Until Evan Carter is an everyday player, I don't know how you can call him a star either. I mean, again, it's a platoon player at this point with a lot of potential. I don't know that you can call a platoon player with a lot of potential a star. Could he be? Yes. Evan Carter absolutely could be a star in this league one day. He's got to play every day. Got to stay healthy. I do think he could definitely end up being a perennial star, a perennial all-star, if given the opportunity to play every day, get a long runway, stay healthy, all that good stuff. It's all got to fall into place, though. Evan Carter is probably the closest thing that we have to a young star, though. Wyatt Langford, I would say, in that department as well, obviously. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, right? But Wyatt Langford only been around for a couple of years. I mean, honestly, it's not like they had a lot of time really developing Wyatt Langford. He spent less than a year in the minor leagues and then came up to the majors. So I say that because I don't know that we can kind of have the same opinion like what they're doing with Walcott, for example. Walcott's been in the minors for multiple years. Like, I don't know. In my mind, I guess I don't necessarily think, yeah, they developed Wyatt Langford. I think dude played college ball, was a professional hitter, and then came up to the major leagues in less than a year. So I don't know. I guess we can give the Rangers credit for 8 or 9 months of development there, but I probably don't have that opinion as much with Wyatt Langford as I do with Evan Carter. Austin, I'm with you. Really rough game today. 100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean, look, the injuries can definitely change how players produce, and I hope that hasn't happened with Josh Young. The comments basically like, have the injuries with Josh Young affected him kind of long-term at this point, right? Like, obviously the wrist might not be ailing him, but have, the time that he's missed, essentially, has it kind of messed up his development? Maybe that could be. Maybe that could be. I'm not sure. And I don't know if anybody's done a deep dive. I would love to. But unfortunately, I'm not the one asking all the questions. Yeah, I think with Jock Peterson, it's a little different because you think about the money that you invested into him. That does play into playing time and strategy with lineups and rotations and bullpen, all that stuff. Of course. And with Jock being signed just this year, the club's not going to give up on him. I think at some point you can definitely do some more mixing and matching. Doesn't have to necessarily be penciled in the lineup every game if there's a righty on the mound. But if he's going well, I'm sure he will be. I think right now, though, Chris Young, you made a big deal about Adolis Garcia performance over pedigree. We were talking about this yesterday. You've got to do the same thing with some of these other guys that aren't performing. Put the feelings aside, put the hard feelings aside. If a guy's not producing, put in the guy that's going to. Simple as that. I don't think you can come out, though, and be so tough on Adolis Garcia, and then you're looking at a guy like Josh Young hitting sub 200 over the last month and saying, well, that's different. Same thing with Jock Peterson, honestly. Jock Peterson comes back, and he's hitting a $150 in 3-4 weeks of play. I don't know how you continue to slot him into the lineup. You can't come out on radio talking about Adolis Garcia, talking about how you value production over pedigree, and then continue to play some of these guys over and over. That doesn't send a very good message, in my opinion. Jock is definitely opting in, though. He's 100% opting in. I don't think he's going to opt out at all. Jock is signed for 2 years. Do I think Moore gets to AA this year, Hardchuck? I would say probably, yeah. Maybe by the end of the year. Either that or he starts in AA next year, Hardchuck, and then maybe gets the promotion to AAA by the end. And then I think Moore will definitely be competing for an opening day spot in 2027. I don't think Malcolm Moore, number 3 prospect right now, according to MLB.com for Texas, catching prospect. I don't think Malcolm Moore is going to be up next year. I think it's actually going to work out perfectly. Jonah Heim's deal is done at the end of 26. So we've got Heim for the rest of this year, and we've got Heim for next year. I think they are going to play out Heim's contract and then hand it over to Malcolm Moore. That should be the goal, unless they do something with Malcolm Moore before that. Kyle Higashioka, he's not your everyday guy. I think you can definitely keep Higgy on as a nice backup piece, but I think you turn the keys over to Malcolm Moore in 2027, barring a really, really bad regression or injury. That would be my plan. Keep going. Let's see. Moore has a lot of pop. That's what I like. That's absolutely what I like. Yeah, Cal Raleigh, another home run today. I think the Mariners won today too. Darn it. Of course, that's how it goes. Around the AL West, by the way, Seattle won. Looks like, let me see here. Let me refresh to today. Seattle's up 14-6 right now. Yikes. Houston is losing to the Angels 2-0. And then let's see. The Guardians are playing the A's, I believe. And that game is 2-0 Guardians. Kind of want the A's to win that ball game. Guardians are ahead of us right now in the wild card. I hope that these teams drop a couple games here to make this loss a little bit better. Really felt like you should have swept today. It's hard to sweep a team, even a team like the Pirates. The perspective has to be you got the win, right? You got the win of the series. And that is huge, especially on the road. You go to Baltimore for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. Hopefully you can take 2 out of 3 there. You just got to keep winning 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. It's easy to get wrapped up in the day-to-day. Let's try and go wide frame a little bit here. You won a series, and you're going to Baltimore, and you're hoping to do the same exact thing. Take 2 out of 3. Hard to sweep a team. Really, really hard to do that in Major League Baseball. Not the Rangers' best effort today. At least they get out of Pittsburgh with the series win. Heading to Baltimore for 3 before you get an off day on Thursday. And then big series with the Mariners. Big series starting on Friday. By the way, just to close out the box score, Haggerty 2 for 3 with the walk. I told y'all, Haggerty, I think, has got to be an everyday player at this point. I don't know who they're going to sub out. I don't know who is going to be riding the bench. I just don't know how, with this struggling of an offense, you're not playing a guy like Haggerty, who has the best OPS on the team right now. 791, even better than Josh Smith. And I know Haggerty's a little bit of a smaller sample size, but I just don't know how you justify taking Swaggerty out of the lineup. And I'm playing that guy until he goes ice cold with the kind of offensive production I'm getting from other people. Let's go Corey Seager, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Thought maybe Siegs was back with that home run he hit the other night. And look, he has been hitting the ball hard. Today, I don't know if that was quite on display as much, but Seager has still maintained pretty solid hard contact, even in this slump. You just hope that the hits start finding green grass or seats, but not Corey's best day today. Marcus Semien, 0 for 3, so hitting streak comes to an end for him. Was on base one time, did score a run via a walk. Adolis Garcia, 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Good to see Doley getting on base a couple of times, working that OBP. Heim was 1 for 4. Josh Smith was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Josh Young, 1 for 4 with 2 RBI. Look, and I say with Josh Young, I know the box score says what it does. Still don't feel like Josh Young is seeing the ball super great right now. Recency bias. Maybe there's some people that are going to be offended by this take, but I just still am worried about Josh Young. You look at the numbers for Josh over the past 15 days, 2 weeks of baseball. The guy's hitting 143. In his last 7 games, he's 2 for 27. 2 for 27 in his last 7 games. He's hitting 074. I think we got to have a tough conversation about Josh Young. What do you do with him? You've dropped him as far as you can. You've said that it's production over pedigree. What do you do with him? Gio, maybe. But the numbers, you're a numbers guy, 2 for 27. That doesn't sound good. And I think we got to stay away from the recency bias. And the hit was not like a scorcher. The hit was about, I think, 80 miles an hour, and it just happened to find a hole. It's not like he smoked the baseball. I would say you probably had average contact on that swing, and then the other 3 at bats, not awesome. For me, I'm still not. Josh Young is back. He had an RBI today. I think for me, it's Josh Young is in a 2 for 27. That's not great. So we will definitely see, and I'll be very curious to see what they do with Josh. I know that we talked about it yesterday. Maybe people aren't ready for this. Dude's got 3 options left. 3 options. Do you give him the Jake Burger treatment? Is it even a consideration? You've got other guys that can play third base. You've got Josh Smith. That would allow Haggerty to stay in the lineup every day. Put Josh Smith at third. Haggerty can DH or play the field, whatever. Maybe, but Josh Young has not been at that level of play since 2023. Agree? 2024, he dealt with the injuries. But now you're seeing a lot of the same thing that you saw in 2024 with Josh Young in 2025. A stint down in the minor leagues isn't forever. I think you have got to consider it. 3rd best batting average on the team, Gio, but dropping quickly. Dropping very quickly. So also consider this. Again, we're not talking about a 7-game stretch. Josh Young in his last 30 games is hitting 184 with a sub 500 OPS. This is a 30-game stretch of not great. This is not a 1 or 2 week slump. And that's the thing I got to emphasize more than anything. This isn't a hot take. He's had a bad week. Dude's had a bad probably 30 to 40 days. So I hear what you're saying. But right now, you guys are going pedigree over production. That's all we're talking about. Pedigree over production. And CY just said the exact opposite when it came to Adolis Garcia. So you're either going to apply the same logic to every player or you're not. I don't know how you say, yeah, the production's there for Josh Young. Dude's hitting sub 500 for his OPS over the last 30 games. And he's hitting under 100 over his last 7 games. So if you're going to say production over pedigree, I don't know how you don't take a hard look at what Josh Young is doing and say, yeah, the production's not there, despite and regardless of the pedigree. Keep going. Sell the whole team, Bo says. This is going nowhere. Well, if it doesn't go anywhere, you got to sell the pieces that you can that are on expiring contracts. You've got guys that are going to be free agents at the end of the season, guys in the bullpen. You've got Hobie Milner. You've got Armstrong. You've got Martin. You've got guys who are on expiring deals that you can trade if it gets really bad. Now, are you going to trade DeGrom, Evo, Seager, Simeon? No, you're not going to trade any of those guys. You're going to reload for 2026. But yeah, you're going to do some selling of players that are not going to be around next year, or at least that are on expiring contracts. We keep going. Let me keep looking at the box score and kind of wrapping this up. Duran 1 for 4, 2 strikeouts today, playing first base again. He's been serviceable, I would say, since taking over for Jake Burger. Serviceable. We'll go with that. And then, look, not much to say about the pitching today. Bosley was bad. Totally took one for the team, fell on the sword. Rangers did not want to use any of their best arms today. Jack Leiter, inefficient, threw a lot of pitches. In fact, let's see, through 4 innings, he was at 88 pitches through 4 innings. Just not acceptable if you're a starting pitcher against one of the worst teams in baseball, too. Like, that's my thing. You're one of the worst teams, facing one of the worst teams in the game in Pittsburgh. And you're going 88 pitches. You need 88 pitches to get through 4. It's not good. Are we buyers or sellers? No. Tyler, you're all good, man. Thanks for tuning in. Look, if I ever miss a comment, TikTok, YouTube, just post it again. I know it might be annoying, but it's just hard, y'all. I got my mind going a million miles an hour trying to manage between 2 different. So, no, I'm never ducking. Just post it again. I try to get to as much as I possibly can. I think that it's going to depend, though, Tyler, on what the team does over the next 3 to 4 weeks, right? I think you've got to be in a playoff spot or at least tied with one. I think if the Rangers are right around where they're at now, a couple of games out of a playoff spot, I could see Chris Young pulling the trigger. But you've got to play well out of the All-Star break. That's a really, really big key. And I've said it a bunch this past week. You got to survive June. So what does that look like? Keep doing what you're doing, winning 2 out of 3. I know it sucks that the Rangers don't get it done today. They won 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. Keep doing that, and I think the Rangers can be buyers. You're 4 or 5 games out at the trade deadline. I think you got to sell. I don't think you hold out hope that the Rangers are going to turn it around out 5 games in the wild card. So for me, it's got to be you're within a couple of games or you're up and secured in a spot by a couple of games to be buyers. Joseph says, I thought Leiter, or Nick says that Leiter and Rocker still need to develop a lot more. Can't wait for Gray and Bradford to be back. Nick, I think you're definitely not alone in that thought. And I think that Leiter really, really out the gate pitched amazing, and that was incredible. He's still figuring it out. And look, to have him be basically your number 2 or 3 guy right now with Evaldi out and Malley out, it's tough. Like Jack Leiter should just probably be a 5th starter at this point. And I'm okay with him being in the rotation. But once Bradford and Gray come back, I do think there is going to be a tough conversation. Do we move Jack to the bullpen? Do we move him back down to AAA? Because if you keep getting this out of Jack and you're focused on winning right now, I don't think you can just keep letting Jack figure it out at the big league level. Especially if you got Bradford and Gray who are actually producing and playing well. I mean, those are 2 really solid starters. Bradford is solid. Gray is solid. So we'll see what they do with Jack Leiter. I did think, Joseph, that he was ready, and maybe he still is. Maybe this is just a bad 2-3 game stretch for the young kid. But I do think you're going to run into, dude, we don't have time for you to figure it out. We've got Bradford and we've got Gray. Like if you're going to only give us 4 innings, 88 pitches, or 5 innings consistently, we've got 2 dudes that can go 6 or 7 routinely and give us a chance to win every time. So I do think that Leiter is going to start getting a shorter and shorter leash for being a starter in the rotation when those guys come back healthy. I would find it pretty hard to believe that they have just permanently marked Leiter in the rotation no matter what happens with all this depth. I mean, again, Malley's coming back. Evo's coming back. I think Rocker is definitely going to be going back down. I can't see Rocker staying up unless he just goes elite mode. Unless he starts spinning 7 shutout innings every other start. And then when he's not throwing 7 shutout, he's throwing a quality start. Unless he's doing that for a nice stretch, I think Rocker's probably the first to go. And then I think they do look at Jack Leiter after that. I think he's a huge part of our future, Tyler. Definitely not giving up on Jack. I just think if the focus is win right now, I don't think you give Jack Leiter unlimited rope to figure it out. You've got to start winning games, and you've got to put the guys out there that give you the best chance to win. Mike, I don't want to think about selling with the rotation either. I really don't. I don't want to be a seller, but I kind of had the mentality that you're describing right now last year. We're 3 or 4 games out. This offense can get hot. We can turn it around. We can go on an 8-game win streak, and then we're right back in it. This is how I felt last year with the team, even going into the trade deadline. I just don't want to get burned again. And look, you've got a lot of guys on expiring contracts that are overperforming the contract. Malley, overperforming his contract. Hobie Milner, overperforming the contract. Chris Martin is probably an iffy just because of the time missed from injury, but I think there's an argument he's overperforming. Armstrong overperforming. You got all these guys that are overperforming on expiring contracts. The last thing you want to do is be 4 or 5 games out of a playoff spot, bet on yourself, and then come up empty, and then you just missed a pretty primo opportunity to reload the pipeline and maybe even potentially reload for 2026. If you're able to get a guy from somebody's farm system that's in AAA this year, but is ready to take the next step in 2026. You could definitely see, Austin, if you could get something for Gray. I think getting something for Gray is going to be a phone call that CY takes and possibly makes. I think he is going to be playing around with a lot of different alternatives and options. At this point, I think you listen to pretty much anybody not named Langford, Carter, Seager. I mean, if somebody wants to take Simeon's contract off your hands, sure. I don't think anybody is going to, but Langford, Carter, and Seager on the offensive side, I think everybody else is probably free game or should be free game. Like Josh Smith, I think he might be another one. He's kind of on the fringe. I don't necessarily think Josh Smith is untradeable at this point either. We're talking just major league bats. I think if anybody wants any of our other players, you definitely listen. But I would not trade Carter, Langford, and I wouldn't trade Corey Seager either. I think Corey Seager has still got some great years left in him. Only, 31, 32 years old. I think he's definitely still got some juice. I wouldn't be trading Corey. But those three guys, everybody else, probably I'm listening to. And as much as I love Josh Smith, as much as I love some of the other guys, yeah, I'm listening. And this is in the scenario where the Rangers are 5-6 games out, and it's not looking like they're going to make the playoffs. Ozuna is probably the main guy that a lot of people are pointing to. Marcell Ozuna, he's actually kind of fallen off a little bit. I think he's only hitting like 240, 250, which would be pretty good on our team. Man, I would just love for us to go get a guy that's hot, go get a guy that is actually producing at a really high level. Like, go for the gusto. You've got this 2 or 3 year window with DeGrom and Evo. Go for the gusto, man. Let's see. Do I feel like unnecessary mistakes have been made by management to put them in the situation? Connect, appreciate the comment. Well, I did say on the show yesterday, CY has done a really good job with getting pitchers to overperform. So you look at CY's pitching contracts, I think they're really, really solid. Look at CY's batting offensive signings. I think that is where you start poking some holes in CY and the job that he's done. The batting acquisitions have just not been awesome for Chris Young, Jock Peterson, Jake Berger. You know, look, you've got a couple of other guys mixed in there too that just haven't worked out. And look, maybe it's just bad luck, but I will say, I think that CY put a little bit too much confidence and faith in last year's group. Probably should have done a pretty big shakeup of the roster after 2024. You could have really gotten proactive and traded some guys. You could have traded Jonah Heim with 2+ years of control or 2 years of control. You could have traded an Adolis Garcia with 2 years of control. Like, that is, I think, where CY is falling short. Is you really thought, at least he really thought, that there was going to be a big bounce back this year with a lot of guys, and it hasn't happened up to this point. Austin, I could see a Malley or Gray trade as well. Yeah, Joseph, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I don't think as fans for sure. No, I don't think anybody really predicted the 24 fall off. So if you're talking about 24, I'm with you. I do think CY's got to take some blame for 25. You watched 24. You watched a lot of guys regress. And then you had the stones to say, nope, Jonah Heim is going to turn it around and be the all-star starter Jonah Heim from 2023, or at least get a lot closer to that. You said the same thing for Adolis Garcia. You said the same thing for other Rangers on the team as well. So for me, you do have to, I think, look at 2025 and say, dude, you watched 2024. CY, you watched 2024, and then you still counted on certain guys being better in 2025. And it didn't work out. Like, look, Jonah Heim, I guess, could go on an all-time heater but I'm not seeing that. Kyle Higashioka, by the way, another acquisition from the offensive side of things that hasn't worked out great. We keep going. Thank you so much, by the way, everybody, for the comments. Really, really appreciate all y'all. We are going to preview the series with the Orioles here in just a second. I do want to take a minute to especially thank all of my paid members on YouTube and all of my paid subscribers on TikTok. Really, really appreciate you guys. I've had a bunch of fun in our Right on Rangers Discord that I have set up for all my paid members and subscribers. Been a great time. That thing is going off at all hours, basically. Definitely been a lot of fun. But look, definitely appreciate all of them. And thank you for everybody comments and for all of the likes, shares, follows. We don't take any support for granted. And by the way, the membership, the subscription thing, just a small thing that I started up about a month ago. If you've been following along with me for a while, you appreciate the content that I put out here at Right on Rangers, consider subscribing. It all goes to help support me, helps keep the lights on around here, helps us keeping dunking on Astros fans at every chance we get. It's like every show, by the way, it feels like we got Astros fans coming by. All that good stuff. Look, if you want to throw me a little extra support, consider a monthly subscription. It's $2.99. Again, it gets you into our Right on Rangers Discord, which is straight fire. And then it also gets you priority replies in lives and in the comments as the show continues to get bigger and bigger. And thanks to you guys, we're gaining about 1,000 followers a month, sometimes more than that. So we're slowly, steadily becoming a bigger and bigger voice in Rangers baseball. That's always been the goal. But before that, building a community has always been something I wanted to do. And there's definitely that kind of stuff out there already. But I love what we're building here at the show. And I want to say a special thank you to all you guys. Thank you so much. So with that being said, let's start looking to preview. Again, by the way, for anybody on YouTube, usually I throw in the link for joining. So I'll throw the link in right here. Consider joining if you're on YouTube. And again, if you're on TikTok, hit that subscribe button right next to the chat. Appreciate it, y'all. All right, let's go ahead and let's preview the Baltimore series, shall we? So I don't know if all the pitching matchups are set. And so that is something that we might not be able to really do a deep dive into. But I think at least tomorrow's game is set. So we'll check out tomorrow's game and we'll see what other games potentially have pitchers lined up already. Corbin is tomorrow. So we'll break down the Corbin start coming up here in a little bit. Tuesday, we are to be determined. Have not announced the starter for Tuesday. And on Wednesday, it looks like we have not announced the starter either. So right now, Patrick Corbin, the only starter announced so far. DeGrom threw on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's possible DeGrom starts on Wednesday, but I kind of wonder if they are going to push DeGrom start to Friday and have him start the Mariners series on Friday night. If I had to bet, I would almost bet that they push DeGrom back to Friday and give him 6 days rest. They got Thursday as an off day, so that is what I think is going to happen. Maybe DeGrom takes the mound on Wednesday in the series finale against Baltimore, but I kind of see them letting him have the day off and then starting him against a really, really good division opponent Friday night in Arlington. I definitely would probably rather see DeGrom go, Mike. I'm kind of with you on this. I would much rather see DeGrom pitch on Friday night, City Connect night in Arlington in front of the home fans against the Mariners. That's a huge, huge series. And ideally, Evo said he's coming back for the Mariners series. We'll see how this week goes. But if you could line up DeGrom, Evo, and then I guess you'd maybe go Leiter on Sunday, I think that's probably how it's going to work out. That'd be awesome. I think bullpen game is probably going to happen at some point in this O series. And then I think Kumar Rocker probably throws at some point as well. Maybe I'm trying to think. Kumar. Yeah, it just kind of depends. It depends on how they want to play this, y'all. I know they're kind of just piecemealing it together, but it all depends, I think, on how they want to play this one. But Obviously, Rocker, he started yesterday. We're not going to see him I don't think we're going to see him on Wednesday. He probably will be. Maybe he'll be the guy that goes in the Mariners series. I don't know. So I don't think Rocker is going to be available at all in Baltimore. All right. So let's preview Patrick Corbin, and then we're going to close up shop. So Corbin against the Orioles. He has, looks like a few ABs, but nothing crazy, y'all. Carlson, the left fielder for Baltimore, is 0 for 3 against Patrick Corbin, probable starter for the Rangers tomorrow night. Gunnar Henderson, lefty, 0 for 5 against Patrick Corbin in his career. Mullins, 1 for 5 against Corbin. Sanchez, the catcher, 1 for 5 with the home run. Urias is 2 for 6. And then Westberg is 1 for 2. So Patrick Corbin, small sample size, but he's actually got some pretty good numbers against some of the Orioles hitters. Then on the other side, Rogers is starting for the Orioles, lefty. So we're going to see the lefty lineup again tomorrow. So you're going to see Swaggerty up at the top, probably Wyatt Langford hitting second. Here's how the Rangers hitters have fared against Rogers, the Orioles probable starter for Monday's game. Duran 0 for 2. Garcia 3 for 6 with a home run. I like to see that. Heim 0 for 3. Josh Young 1 for 3. Wyatt Langford 0 for 3 against Rogers, the left-handed starter, probable starter for the Orioles tomorrow. Seager 1 for 6. Marcus Semien 3 for 7. So Semien and Garcia so far, guys who might be primed for a big game tomorrow night. And Josh Smith 1 for 5. There's the breakdown. Rangers will take the batter's box at 5:35. 5:35 Texas time. 6:35 Eastern time zone start. So what, 3:35 for me out here? Okay, we're going to have to get cracking on that video then. Shoot. So 3:35 start time for me out here. So we'll probably be live around 7:30 Texas time tomorrow night to talk about the 8th, 9th inning, and then do our usual post-game analysis. Patrick Corbin, career 1 for 5 against Baltimore. Yeah, that only does so much for me, though, right? You're 1 for 5 against Baltimore, but with Patrick Corbin, dude's been pitching for a while. So not a lot of these guys were probably a part of those 5 wins where Patrick Corbin took a loss. So I take all those numbers with a little bit of a grain of salt. That's why I always like to look at how has he fared against the guys that are actually going to be in the lineup. And that's what we just went through. It looks like if I do some fast math here, 13, 18, 24, 26, and we have a total of 4. So hitters in the Orioles lineup are 4 for 26 against Patrick Corbin collectively. 4 for 26, which comes out to a 153 batting average. So I think throw out the 1-5 record, although I appreciate the stat. Don't get me wrong. Don't take it the wrong way. Appreciate the stat, Ben. But I like the 153 batting average against in terms of hitters that are actually potentially going to be facing him tomorrow night in Baltimore. Why does Mizurowski look better than Skeens? It's been a couple starts. I don't know if I'm going to say he's better than Skeens at this point. Padres owning the Rangers next week? I sure hope not. I'm going to be at one of those games, by the way. So when I'm on the road, I don't know if I'll be able to do my typical shows. Maybe we'll do a live from the ballpark, surprise y'all at some point. But we will be out in San Diego for that Padres series. Should be a lot of fun. We keep going. Looks like I caught up with almost everything. Hard Chuck, if you're still hanging out, I'm with you. Help is definitely on the way. Help is on the way. Yeah, Mike, that's the plan. Like, it's going to be a little bit of a lesser show, if I had to guess. A little bit of a lesser show from Petco, but I'll definitely hop on maybe for a few minutes, maybe 10 or 15. Give y'all the breakdown, all that kind of stuff, something like that. That's kind of the plan right now. But that'll be fun. Petco is one of my favorite places to go watch a ball game. Beautiful ballpark. Highly recommend if you ever get a chance. All right, y'all. It's been a great show. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you guys have a great rest of the Sunday. And let's get back at it tomorrow. Let's flesh this one out. We'll be back Monday, tomorrow night, around, like I said, 7:30, 7:45 Texas time. Hopefully in the middle of the Texas Rangers leading and on the verge of a win. That's the plan. Thank you again for all the comments. Thank you again for all the support. Appreciate all the paid members and subscribers. Again, if you're interested in supporting the show, hit that subscribe button right next to the chat, or you can subscribe or join on YouTube by copy and pasting that link into a browser of your choice. Appreciate y'all. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.